Some of you may have come across this 21st century literary genre before, or most probably majority of you are not familiar with it. Hyper poetry. So, what is hyper poetry? How does it look like and where do we usually find it? What makes it unique among many other 21st century literary genres and how do we make one? In this lesson video, we are going to answer these questions and we are going to learn how to make a hyper poetry. Later on, you are also going to make your own. Sounds exciting, right? So what are we waiting for? Let's get into the video. Hyperpoetry or cyberpoetry. Hyperpoetry refers to works of verses which could not be presented without the computer. Hyperpoetry, as the name suggests, includes verses with links or hyperlinks which would redirect the readers to different sites, sub-poems, and other footnotes, poetry with movements or images. Hypertext poetry can also consist of words, although not necessarily in lines and stanzas, as well as sound, visual images, movement, or other special effects. So I'm going to be showing you examples of hyperpoetry. Here they are. Creating a hyper poetry could be both challenging and fulfilling at the same time. So I am going to show you a tutorial video or the step-by-step guide on how to create a hyper poetry on Facebook through writing or creating Facebook notes. So after this tutorial video, you are also going to create your own hyper poetry. So stay tuned and follow these steps.
How to create hyper poetry through Facebook. To start with, today I created a private group in order to show you the step-by-step guide or procedure on how to create your hyper poetry on our Facebook group. Before starting, remember to make it sure that you are on the discussion section of the group to begin. Now for your first step, please proceed to write Post section, click More, and select Create Doc or Create Document. Now after selecting this, you will be redirected in this page wherein you can now start writing your hyper poetry. You may add your title here, and you may also insert pictures and images here to add more appeal and creativity on your work. In my case, I will be using this poetry I created 9 years ago, way back 2011. It is a single poem consisting of 3 other series of poetry inside. So I'll be just copying this title and I'm gonna be pasting it here. For others, if you don't have or if you do not have any scratch, you can just simply type directly on this part. Now, I also opt to have a short introduction of my hyper poetry. So I created a very short amban as an intro of my other poetry. So I'll just be copying this amban and I am going to paste it here. Okay. And then I'm gonna click publish. Okay, so now we're all set. So now we're done with the first talk or the introduction of my hyper poetry. So it's now published here. Now since I still have other parts of the poem, so I have 3 poems inside this poetry. So I have Ikaw, Ang Pag-ibig, at Ang Aking Paalam. So I am going to write or to create another talk in order to have these 3 poems. So I am going to again repeat the same process. So the first poem is entitled Ikaw, and I'll be just copying this part and I'm going to paste it here and then click publish. Okay, so now after refreshing the page, you will see again the second note that I published in the Facebook group's timeline. So here it is. So it would appear right here. Okay, after some moments. Now again, here it is, Ikaw. So I'll be creating another talk again. So this time it will contain the second poetry inside my main poem. So again, I will paste it here, okay? And its title is Ang Pag-ibig. So I'll be typing it here, okay? And here, same process, publish it. Now we're down with the last part of the poem. So now I will copy the last, which is Ang Aking Paalam, and again we'll still repeat the same process. Okay, so I will paste it here again, and the title is Ang Aking Paalam. So I'm gonna type it here. Okay, and again, same process, publish. Now we're done with the notes. So I have here the introduction, followed by the third poetry, the second, and the first one. So the next step is this is now when the time you're going to put hyperlinks on your poetry. So I'm going back, or before going back and editing this poetry, so I would first copy the links of this. So you just need to select or to right click on the note and copy the link. So same with this one. Okay, just need to copy it. Okay, so in this case, class, I already copied and pasted all of the links here in my notepad as the scratch paper. So we're going to be needing this. So this is the link of the first. So this one is in the second, and the third one is here. Now let's go back and edit this document. Okay, so just click edit talk. So now this time, you have to create, or you have to select the word wherein you want to add the hyperlink with. So like for example, this part, since I have ikaw, at ang simula ng aking tula ay ikaw, so I will be selecting this word and then click the word, the option link. Then I will be pasting this one. So here it is, and then paste, and then press enter. Same process, pag-ibig, and then link. Then I'll be getting this, and then select again, then enter, and then the last one is paalam. So here's the link of paalam. I will be pasting it here and then press again enter. Now after pasting all the links, you may now click publish. Now, so since the note is already published, so what is the purpose of this now? So once your readers open this and read your poem, the word where you added a hyperlink with will be highlighted and will be clickable. So let's try to open the note, and there you go. So for example, since this is the introduction, nagsimula sa ikaw, humantong sa pag-ibig, nagtapos sa paalam. So you see, I have here hyperlink. So dahil naka-highlight siya, i-click lang siya ng reader, and the reader will now be redirected to another page or to the first poem. Okay. Right. So, paano yun? Paano yun? So, should my readers still go back to the other notes para lang mapuntahan niya pa yung iba? Pwede mo rin naman dagdagan ito. Like, you can click edit. Okay. So, para hindi na mahirapan, bigla ang puso ko'y unti-unting tinahak. Ano kaya yung tumahak na yon? So, pwede nating itagtag dito pa lang sa huli. And then, you can have ang pag-ibig. And then, click this one. And then, press enter. And then, publish. There you go. So, pag nakita na yan ng mga readers mo, so once your readers already have seen your work, so they would see the hyperlink you inserted, like this one. So for example, let's open again the introduction or the poem introduction. I want to click ikaw because I want to read the first poetry. After reading the whole poetry, then here is now the second poetry. Okay. So that's it. So again, this time, once the readers click the words, they will be brought to another content, another webpage of another poetry that you write. So in this case, you may add other hyperlinks such as websites or a YouTube video. And actually, this depends on how creative your hyper poetry gets. Okay, so let me finish this hyper poetry here. And you just need to repeat all of the processes.
Now that you already know how to create a hyper poetry through Facebook Notes, you are now going to create your own. You have to form groups with maximum of 10 people or 10 members each, and you're going to create your hyper poetry on our Facebook group. Deadlines and other information or other instructions regarding this activity will be indicated in your Google Classroom. So thank you for staying in with me in this lesson video, and I hope that you enjoyed this session. Thank you so much, and see you in the class. Bye!